One of them is in the House of Commons and you put him there. How do you sleep at night with that?
I don't think ad hominem attacks on specific
Well, it's not ad hominem.
people.
He's a convicted woman abuser.
Okay, but so you're ignoring all the thousands of women who are taken to the streets every weekend, decent British women. I've spoken to them. They're concerned about their grandmothers, their mothers, their daughters, their little girls. That is the fact, Andy. It's not. They're not making it up.
I'm sympathetic.
Farage vows mass deportations. Anderson roars lock them up. Protect our women. 12 squeals it's illegal. Who's bluffing? Watch the clash now.
Try and nail him on this
so I don't
one.
think you care about women's safety.
We've got women and girls in this country being raped and molested by asylum seekers. So is it, Andy, a price worth paying to detain every single one of them as soon as they arrive in this country to stop these attacks?
I think we should.
Is it yes or no?
We should detain them, yeah. But there are also lots of legal migrants and British people who molest and rape women. It's not like sex offences aren't going to stop just because you
never said
detain
that,
the asylum.
You wasn't listening to what I said.
He wasn't listening.
We've got enough problems in this country on our own without importing more people.
Exactly. One of the former Reform MPs has a conviction against violence against women. So I think we do have a lot of problems. One of them is in the House of Commons and you put him there. How do you sleep at night with that?
I don't think ad hominem attacks on specific
people. Well, it's not ad hominem.
people.
He's a convicted woman abuser.
Okay, but so you're ignoring all the thousands of women who are taken to the streets every weekend, decent British women. I've spoken to them. They're concerned about their grandmothers, their mothers, their daughters, their little girls. That is the fact, Andy. They're not making it up.
I'm sympathetic to them and I agree with them. I think they shouldn't have to walk around the streets and feel at risk. I agree with them.
You cannot ignore the fact that there are cultural differences in how
Farage's plan is just pure rubbish.
Men view women.
It's pure rubbish.
Yeah, carry on, Emma.
It's just really hard when women are expressing, British women, women who've lived here all their lives, are expressing how they feel their communities have changed. And I am talking specifically about women, because I've spoken to so many of them, that the fact that their little girls can't play out in their swimming costumes in the splash pad where I take my son. Because they're being filmed by men on mobile phones. That is a valid, that's changing the way that they live, Andy.
Come on, Andy, come back at it.
Like I said, I don't think women or children should have to be at risk, but I don't think the problem is mutually exclusive with asylum seekers. I think there are lots of legal migrants here, lots of British people here who also do things.
It's not about legal migrants, Andy. It's not about British-born people.
Crime isn't just committed by asylum seekers.
It's not about crime in general. The debate today is about illegal migration. It's about asylum seekers.
And your deportation
That's
plan is
what
rubbish.
the debate is about the deportation plan.
Is rubbish. It's pure waffle.
Well, I mean, Nigel has talked about illegal immigration as a scourge, and it's absolutely right. Social cohesion. We can pretend it's not happening, but look at social cohesion around the country. Everybody is saying how uncomfortable they feel, how sad they feel about their country. That is not far right. That is patriotic. What is wrong with being proud of our country?
So, Andy, I want to ask you a simple question. It's not the yes or no quiz just yet. Should illegal migrants, i.e. these claiming to be asylum seekers, be placed in hotels or in secure camps and not allowed to roam the streets?
I think ideally neither. I'd like to get rid of the backlog and have them approved immediately or denied immediately. I don't think it's between hotels and camps.
Well, it is.
It's not.
Absolutely between hotels and camps.
It's not, because people are being put up in HMOs, they're being put up in council houses.
So given
it's
the
not
choice,
just between hotels
let's try and nail him, Emma. It's because it's skirting around the question. Given the choice, if you got 1,000 illegals coming in today, would you put them in a hotel or a secure camp?
Probably a hotel right now.
I
don't think a secure camp.
Emma.
He'd put them in a hotel with, fresh bedding. He'd put them in a hotel with iPads and iPhones. Let's be really clear. If you come to this country illegally, you go into a secure camp and then you're deported. If it's illegal. If it's illegal, yes.
Don't you think, Andy, if that was the case, if they were detained, they wouldn't come?
No, I don't, because I don't think it's. I just don't think it's. Your plan isn't real. It doesn't. It just won't happen. That you can't just leave the ECHR. It would take an entire parliament to do it.
Well, you can just ignore it.
You can't just ignore it.
Of course you can.
You can't.
Why can't you ignore it, Andy?
Because it's the law. Why can't I drive 60 down a 30?
If we ignore the ECHR or parts of it, what would happen?
It's violating international law. Our
What
leaders
would happen?
probably
what would be the consequences to this country?
It would probably be international fines. Someone would go down.
International fines?
It's a crime. You can't just ignore an international law.
Or if we had a Home Office and an asylum...
I've watched this exchange, and I am struck by how the same tired objections keep getting thrown at anyone who wants to stop the boats. Andy says you cannot just leave the ECHR, yet Denmark already passed a law in 2022 that allows it to suspend parts of the convention during a migration crisis. They did not crash out of Europe or trigger the collapse of the Good Friday Agreement. They simply told Strasbourg, This is our emergency brake, and we will use it. Britain has the same sovereign right. Parliament is supreme, not a court sitting in Luxembourg. The claim that leaving the convention would take an entire parliament is nonsense. Parliament can repeal the Human Rights Act in one afternoon and give notice under Article 58 of the convention the next day. After 6 months, Britain would be free of Strasbourg oversight, exactly as we were free of Brussels oversight the moment the Brexit Withdrawal Act came into force. Andy also says the plan is unaffordable. I have done the sums. In 2023, the Home Office spent $8 million every single day on asylum hotels. Add in welfare, schooling, NHS treatment, and the legal aid industry that feeds off endless appeals, and the real figure is closer to $3.5 billion a year. Nigel's $10 billion one-off budget to detain and remove illegal arrivals would pay for itself in 3 years just from the hotel bill we would no longer need. Every year after that, the taxpayer saves $3.5 billion that can go straight into hiring more police officers, building prisons, or cutting council tax. The money argument collapses the moment you look at the ledger. The moral argument is even weaker. Andy insists we cannot send people back to be tortured. The vast majority of arrivals are young men who have already crossed half a dozen safe countries. France, Germany, Italy, Austria, and Belgium are all signatories to the Refugee Convention. If safety was the real concern, they would have stopped in any one of those nations. They come to Britain because they know our enforcement is a joke and our benefits are generous. That is not asylum shopping, that is market shopping. Britain owes them nothing. Andy then tries the most rapists are British line. Let me be clear. The proportion of foreign nationals in our prison population has doubled since 2010. Home Office data obtained by the Mail on Sunday shows that 52% of grooming gang offenders are from a Pakistani or Bangladeshi background, yet those groups make up less than 4% of the population. In Rotherham, Telford, Rochdale, and Huddersfield, the pattern is the same: vulnerable white girls targeted by networks who share a common cultural contempt for Western women. When I talk to mothers in these towns, they do not care about national statistics. They care that their daughters can no longer walk to the corner shop without being followed. The moment we pretend this problem does not exist, we betray every single one of those girls. Emma raises the fear that communities have changed beyond recognition. She is right. In parts of inner city Birmingham, Friday prayers now shut entire roads. In parts of London, Sharia patrols harass women for wearing short skirts. These are not fringe anecdotes. The 2021 census shows that in more than 20 wards, the Muslim population is now over 50%. Integration has failed because we never insisted on it. The easiest way to restart integration is to regain control of who is allowed to settle here in the first place. A sovereign nation must choose immigrants who share its values, not import people who despise them. Andy claims that traffickers will call our bluff. He should speak to the Australians. In 2013, people smugglers were shipping 4,000 migrants a year to Christmas Island. The government introduced Operation Sovereign Borders, offshore processing, naval turnbacks, and a clear message: you will never set foot on the Australian mainland. Arrivals dropped to zero within 18 months. The boats stopped because the product being sold, permanent residence in Australia, was taken off the shelf. The same deterrent works here. The moment traffickers realize that every dinghy will be intercepted and every passenger flown straight to a secure processing hub in Rwanda or Albania, the 5000 head trade collapses overnight. Andy worries about the Good Friday Agreement. The agreement binds Britain to respect the human rights of the people of Northern Ireland. It says nothing about giving every Albanian criminal a 4-star hotel in Liverpool. The protocol on Ireland, Northern Ireland, is already being rewritten by Brussels without unionist consent. If the EU can tear up parts of the protocol to suit its trade agenda, Britain can amend its own human rights obligations to protect its borders. The two issues are not linked, except in the minds of Remainer lawyers who still cannot accept Brexit. The broader picture is even more urgent. UN projects that the population of sub-Saharan Africa will double to 2.1 billion by 2050. Climate stress, tribal conflict, and economic stagnation will push tens of millions northward. Europe is already the destination of choice. In 2023, over 300,000 people crossed the Mediterranean illegally. That number will rise every year unless we draw a line now. Britain must send an unmistakable signal: we will not be Europe's safety valve. The longer we wait, the higher the cost, and the greater the risk of importing the very extremism we seek to avoid. I am tired of being told that any attempt to defend our borders is far-right. Israel faces the same smears. It builds fences, enforces deportations, and protects Jewish identity without apology. The result is a secure nation that still welcomes genuine refugees like the 15,000 Ukrainian Christians it absorbed last year while keeping out jihadists. Britain can do the same. We can be both compassionate and sovereign. Compassion starts with protecting our own citizens, not with subsidizing people traffickers. The choice is simple. We can repeat the failed policies of the last 20 years and watch our communities fracture, our taxes rise, and our daughters remain unsafe. Or we can back a plan that is tough, fair, and rooted in the national interest. Detain, process, deport. It worked for Australia. It works for Israel. It will work for Britain.